Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. I hope that you are fine. Today, our topic is Snowdrop by Ted Hughes. As you can see from here, Snowdrop by Ted Hughes. The original name of the writer is Edward James Hughes. I would like to mention it here. Edward James Hughes. Okay, and this name Ted Hughes served as a pen name for the writer. Okay, sometimes writers do write literature under pen name. Okay, in some severe conditions, situations, right? So that's why this was the pen name he used it, but the original name is Edward James Hughes. Okay, so our topic is Snowdrop. It's a wonderful poem from the poetry section of 10th standard. Okay, so before we begin with this poem, let us recapitulate what we have done earlier. So as you know that our topic was previously Miracles by Walt Whitman, and you understand now better that how Walt Whitman would talk about the miraculous. As per his view, he called everything a miracle, and most importantly, he does not believe miracle as something that happens seldom, or that is something extraordinary, okay, or that is something associated with supernatural elements. Rather, he believes that everything is a miracle. Whatever he sees, then he refers all the things. First he talks talks general, and then he makes a catalog of things, referring like streets of Manhattan, like he talks with friends riding in the car, dining across the table with friends. Okay, so he calls all that miracle. Yes, in fact, that's a miracle, because as we can see that this nature itself is a miracle. Okay, so but it needs that vision to ponder, okay, and come to know about these miracles. Even man, the creation of man itself is a miracle, right? I remember here, that's relevant to this. I remember John Keats, one of the wonderful quotes, when he says about the things. He says that everything has a beauty, but not everyone sees it. Yes, of course, everything has a beauty, but not everyone sees it. Means that we don't have that understanding about the things. We don't have that ponderation. We don't ponder in that way. Okay, that's why we cannot feel or perceive that beauty. Okay, so today our topic is Snowdrop. This will be the fourth poem that I'll be teaching today by Ted Hughes. And as I said, that the original name of the writer is Edward James Hughes. He was born in 1930, and he died in 1998. He was born in 1930 and he died in 1998. So therefore, we can say that he is the 20th century poet and writer. Okay, he was from England. He's an English poet. Okay, one most important thing that we can find in his poetry is that Edward James Hughes was the devotee of animal nature. In fact, he would love animals, okay, in his early childhood. So that's why we can see that in his poetry animals are employed usually. Okay, so this is one of the most important point that you should remember. But these animals literally are not animals only. They can be the representation of humans as well, because we can have metaphors. No doubt this poem is concise. It's compressed poem. It is short in nature, 8-line poem. But dear students, it is very much, it's fraught with content. It has a huge content to speak of. Okay, so we can have lot of meanings from the poem. Even there are symbols. For example, the symbol can be highlighted from the very title, Snowdrop. It itself is a symbol. Okay, or some other symbols like stars, okay, like wintering heart, globe, etc. These are the symbols used in the poem. So this is very, no doubt, it's compressed, it's concise, but it demands too much, sense from us to understand this poem, right? So this is one of the important points from the poem. So he was born in 1930, 1998. Is the 20th century poet. Okay. The students, Edward James Hughes is considered the best, writer of the 20th century. One of the best poet of 20th century, of his generation, in fact, the time when others would write, contemporaries. Okay, he was among them. He was considered the best. We can simply write one of the best poet of his generation. And one more important thing, one of the greatest writers of the 20th century is called also. One of the greatest writers of 20th century. These points are very important. Okay. One more point I would like to add here is that Edward James Hughes served as poet laureate. Poet laureate from 1984 until his death. The students, you understand poet laureate? Because if you go back to my lecture when I would teach, apple picking, okay, Robert Frost too would serve as a poet laureate. He was American. So poet laureate we say, who is officially chosen, selected, okay, to write on special occasions, special events. Okay, because his literature he's selected on the basis of that outstanding contribution in literature. Okay, so he served poet laureate from 1984 until his death. One important point you should remember, that he married with Sylvia Plath. This is very important. Sylvia Plath. I'll write it here. Sylvia Plath. She was American. Sylvia Plath. Okay. Sylvia Plath. She's American, and she was the wife of Edward James Hughes, and she committed suicide, in her very early age. She was young when she died, and she contributed to literature. She wrote a novel which is her only novel, The Bell Jar, which is this famous novel of hers, Bell Jar. Okay, this is the only novel of the American poet Sylvia Plath. Okay, but the novel is very much famous. Okay, and she's a feminist writer as well. There are some other contributions, like some wonderful poems she has written, which are very famous, like Tulips. I recommend you to, read this poem of Sylvia Plath. Tulips, like, Lady Lazarus. These are some wonderful poems of Sylvia Plath, and she was the wife of Edward James Hughes. You should not forget this point. Okay. So coming to Edward James Hughes has a collection of poetry. The first collection Edward James Hughes wrote was The Hawk in the Rain. The Hawk in the Rain. It came in 1957. Okay. And then second was Lupercal. It came in 1960. Crow. That's also one of the famous collection of poetry that came in 1970. Okay, my dear students. So these anthologies are very important as far as the writer, as far as the poet Ted Hughes is concerned. Okay. In fact, the present poem, Snowdrop, is from the anthology Lupercal. So this present poem is taken from Lupercal. Okay, so I earlier made a point that animals can be found in his poetry, depiction of animals. So there are certain poems which have titles on animals as well, Hawk in the Rain. Okay, and there is a poem titled as a Jaguar. Okay, so likewise poems, so we could find animals as title. Okay, but you should remember that he lived in the age where wars would take place, like Second War. When Second World War began, he was 9 or 10 years old. So the direct impact of those wars can be seen in the literature. So that's why these symbols, these animals, depiction of these animals cannot be literally animals only. They have a literary significance as well. Okay. So for example, if we let us take the poem Snowdrop. Okay, Snowdrop. If we take it as a symbol, Snowdrop, it's a flowering plant. It's a flower. Okay, it's a native plant it's a plant in Europe. It grows in Europe. It grows in Asia also. Okay, Snowdrop. It's a flower. Okay, it's a milk white flower. Right? And this plant, this flowering plant, Snowdrop flowering plant, has a strength, has a quality, unique quality, that it grows, it cuts its petals out even in the harshest climatic conditions. That means in the harshest circumstances it survives, because it's fit, it struggles and it survives. Right? It has an energy, it has the strength to survive. Okay, so this Snowdrop. Okay, but this at the same time, this Snowdrop can be taken as a globe, whole world, whole nature, this Mother Earth. Okay, so what happens to this Mother Earth? Look at the winter is depicted in the poem, right? There is the depiction of winter, severe winter. The writer talks about, the poet talks about the severe winter. Okay, when severe winter comes, what happens to the earth? What happens to the globe? What happens to the Mother Earth? It is condensed. Okay, the supportiveness is restricted of all the creatures. I mean, the alertness is curtailed. That is stopped by the severe winter. Every creature. Okay, that's why we could find in the very first line, now is the globe shrunk tight. So what's the impact? What the poet actually talks in this poem? If there is a winter, what it does? Remember, this poem is very much metaphoric. Okay, you remember Second World War. Okay, what would happen to the people? So take the example that the Second World War was like a winter. Okay, so it too restricted the supportiveness and alertness of people then. There were people who could not find anything to eat. Okay, they were restricted. Their movements were restricted. Okay, similarly, he's talking about the creatures. So these creatures can be taken, the people living in that age. Even this poem has a relevance to the times we live in also. Okay? So now is the globe shrunk tight. The globe is tight because of the... Why globe is tight? Tight means, okay, it has shrunk. It's hard now because of the severe cold, harsh winter, harshest even. Okay? Now is the globe shrunk tight. It is shrunk tight. It's condensed. Okay, around the mouse's dulled wintering heart. This mouse, look at the depiction of the mouse. Okay, dulled wintering heart. He's not in his heart. It has restricted the movements, winter has restricted the movements of mouse. The mouse has turned out very lazy. His alertness has vanished. Okay, because winter has come, severe winter has come, severe cold has come, snow has come. Okay, weasel and crow, look at. Weasel and crow as if molded in brass. Weasel and crow even, they are the predators of the rodents like mouse and others. Even they are. Now these mouses, these rodents do not have any fear of these predators. Okay, because they too are molded in brass. They are too restricted. Their supportiveness is, marred, killed by this harsh winter. Okay, so it's molded. It's changed into brass. They're hard. They cannot move. Okay, move through an outer darkness. No doubt they move now. Even if they move through an outer darkness. Why? Look at this outer darkness is very important. Even if it is the day, but for them it seems completely darkness, obscurity, gloomy picture seems to be enveloping their minds. Okay, so it's the influence of the mental chaos. Even though there is daylight, but since they are not. Their hearts are not, in peace. Okay, the day seems them dark also. Okay, they move through an outer darkness. Outer darkness, when a person comes out but he does not find anything. For example, if he has a family to feed behind and he comes out, but he knows probably that he could not find anything to get to feed his family. Okay, so what are the consequences upon him? What are the consequences of his action then? So similarly, they know that they don't find anything. That's why, the day turns out dark for them even. Okay, they move through an outer darkness, not in the right minds. My dear students, this not in the right minds is very important, because the people, because the animals. Okay, I earlier said that these are the metaphors. These can be treated as the animals then. Okay, so they are not in their right minds. They have lost that capability. Okay, they are restless, they are hopeless. Still they come out, but they know there is no hope of getting anything. Okay, so that's why they are not in their right minds. Look at these lines are very important now. With the other deaths, she too pursues her ends. She too pursues. The she can be taken as snowdrop. The she can be taken as globe. This she can be treated as Mother Earth we live in. Okay, this is all. Okay, look at with the other deaths, she too. Now, there is a little bit shift. With the other deaths, she too. This nature. With the other deaths, she too pursues. If we take it as a snowdrop, with the other deaths, बाकी मर रहे हैं. She too pursues her ends. To pursue her end means to accomplish something, to attain something. Okay, she too pursues her ends. Snowdrop, I said, that has a strength, unique strength, that it makes its petals out in the harshest winter, severe winter. When there is a thick layer of snow, 2 feet, 3 feet, still it springs its petals out from the thick snow. So that's the strength of the snowdrop. So बाकी तो मर रहे हैं, but she too pursues her ends. But this snowdrop pursues its ends. It lives, it survives. This can be one, but if we take it as a nature, as a whole, look at with the other deaths. Deaths are taking place. Okay, she too pursues her ends. It's the law of nature. It too pursues her. The nature pursues its ends. It attains what it has to attain. It accomplishes what it has to accomplish. Okay? So with the other deaths, she too pursues her ends. It makes the nature run. Okay? Brutal as the stars of this month. So brutal as the stars. My dear students, you should remember stars are always employed in poetry. They are they're the guiding, light. They guide you towards the right path. But here it says brutal as the star. They're the brutal. Why brutal? Why these brutal as the stars? These stars can be, when the snowdrop sprouts its wings, it comes out from the thick snow. Then it's, these flowers, their heads turn up or down. Okay. Then there is a snow on them. So it, in the night, in the day, it shines. Okay. It can be that shining also. It can be, the stars can be the reference of that shine also. Okay. So that shining, that glistening of that snow in the night, okay, we can treat that as the guiding light. But why the poet uses brutal stars? Because it guides at the cost of something. What cost? Because it guides the creatures to kill other creatures, because they could find somehow other creatures and they kill them for feeding. Right? That's why he says brutal as the stars of this month. It has other significance also. Okay? Her pale head. Look at, if the she is snowdrop, this she is globe, earth, mother earth, the she is this nature, then her is the same, because it's the objective case of, she. It's the same. So her pale head. Look at, if it takes snowdrop, her pale head. Why pale? This pale too is important here. Okay? For example, I'll give you an example. For example, in winter, when we look towards trees, so their trunks, it seems very much, frustrating for us. The nature is dull. The nature of the trees is dull. They don't seem as living, energetic. So pale term is used when something is dull, when something is malnourished. Okay, her pale head. Okay, head heavy as metal. No doubt the snowdrop seems to be malnourished. Its head seems pale, but it is heavy as metal. It is heavy as metal because it has a strength to survive. Right? Brutal as the stars of this month. Okay, her pale head heavy as a metal. If this brutal as the stars of this month, if there are challenges for the creatures like weasel, crow, mouse to survive, but at the same time, this snowdrop, okay, it has a unique quality, it has a unique strength that it still makes its petals out to survive. Therefore, a kind of theme gets highlighted here, that is survival of the fittest. Okay, survival of the fittest, which is the theme, which comes as the theme of this poem. Because this snowdrop has a strength that it springs, it makes its petals out even in the harshest cold. This harshest cold can be taken as the turmoil. Okay, no doubt the other creatures, their sportiveness is killed, their alertness is marred. Okay, they cannot move. Okay, the mouse cannot come out from the hole. This snowdrop has a unique strength. It makes its petals come out even in the harshest climatic conditions. I mean severe cold, thick layer of snow. It cuts its petals out. It sprouts, it springs. Right? No doubt there are creatures like mouse, weasel and crow and other creatures. Okay? Their supportiveness is restricted. That is restricted. Their alertness is killed by this harsh winter. But this snowdrop can be the symbol of those, who are fit to survive. Okay? So that's why survival of the fittest can be the theme of this poem. My dear students, I usually try to complete one poem in one lecture. Okay, but it's not possible somehow. But we have some limitations of the time also. So we have to keep that thing also in mind. But I'm trying as much as possible to complete, the major chunk of it. Okay. And I hope that you have understood this poem very well. So yes, if there are certain things, I'll be taking them separately. I wish you all the best. Thank you.